It's Tuesday night, it's 9 p.m., and we're on the waterfront as a brand new season of RTA Virtual Motorsport begins on the streets of St. Petersburg. The class of 2026 move from Porsche Cup cars and are ready to take centre stage as the indyNXT series, or indyNXT series, opens with one of the most demanding circuits on the calendar. Fast straights, unforgiving walls, and absolutely no margin for error. Whole weeks of preparation come down to this, with every braking zone mattering, as does every single heat in a championship where the field is so competitive. One single mistake can change the course of an entire season. For some, this is the beginning of their title campaign, while for others, it's a chance to establish themselves and race against the best of Irish motorsport. But for everyone on the grid, and indeed for us here in the commentary box, there's just one question, and that's, can anyone beat Dylan McClements? This is the RTA Virtual Motorsport indyNXT Series. So my name is Kevin Galvin. You're very welcome to the streets of St. Petersburg, where we begin our first week of this championship, all the way from a sunny Ireland to an even sunnier climes here in Florida to this street circuit, which I can tell you was a little bit of a tricky one, trying to make sure that we got all the right corners, but we got there in the end. 1.8 miles exactly, that's 2.897 for us in Europe land. 14 terms with a race lap record of 1 minute flat, 1 minute 0.6795 by Joseph Newgarden. That was in the 2024 IndyCar race. We are in the indyNXT series, the step down series, the little brother, shall we say, to the IndyCar series. And I have my own little brother with me in race terms, Evan Dalton, who joins me. Evan, thanks as always for joining us. I know you make no qualms, or no, you don't hide the fact that you love IndyCars and you love America, even despite what's going on at the moment. I would imagine you're very, very excited for this upcoming series.
I am. I'm very excited. We are back in Indy machinery. The IndyCar series was great. It came down to 2 points in Barber Motorsports Park, and we are here in the indyNXT series. As you said, the younger brother, and it's been one of the drivers' younger brother who's won the last 14 million championships here in RTA. So it'll be interesting to see, can anyone beat Dylan McClements? This indyNXT car, very tricky car. St. Petersburg, very difficult circuit. These drivers are really being thrown into the deep end here this evening. It should be a very entertaining night.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really good one on a track that's not short of its own controversy. Of course, raced currently hosts the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg from 2005 up to present. It had hosted racing from 1985 really up until the late 90s, on and off. Eventually, it was 1985. It was put to a halt after local residents and businesses complained about the noise. But I think at this point, it's a firm favourite on the calendar and a great tourism spot for the city of St. Petersburg on the western seaboard of the Floridian Peninsula. It's this track obviously takes in famously a runway, of course, on the local airport as well. So that makes a part of the main straight. Not the only course that borrows parts from an airport this season, as we'll find out, but snakes its way through the city of, or at least the bayfront of St. Petersburg, and currently hosts not only the IndyCar series and indyNXT, as well as the USF and the Mazda MX-5 Cup, but also featured in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series as well. So it's certainly more and more series are wanting to come and race here. And Evan, as an opening round, we've really thrown these guys into the deep end.
Yes, it is the real life IndyCar and indyNXT opening round here, St. Petersburg. So it's kind of nice we follow that trend. It is the newest track on the iRacing platform, as far as I'm aware, only added in the most recent update. And there's a lot of official series racing here as well. It's the kind of circuit where if you put it in the middle of the season, it gets no real appreciation. But as a season opener, it's usually entertaining. The NASCAR or the NASCAR Truck Series debuting this year as well. They ran on the same weekend as the IndyCar, and there was a couple of IndyCar legends racing in that race. Dario Franchitti, just to name one that some people might know. But yeah, it's not the type of track as a driver you want to start a season in. I did a few laps of it last night in this car. It's not easy to keep it out of the concrete. It's not going to be a night where you can just get settled. You're going to have to be on your toes at all times, whether it's pushing the car close to the wall, avoiding collisions, basically just getting as used to the car as you can without totaling it. For qualifying here, don't expect quick times for the first 3 or 4 laps. Quite difficult to warm the tyres.
Yeah, it's you just can't get any head of steam, and a lot of your braking, you can't really go heavy on the brakes either and start to build temps, because anytime you're on the brakes, you're kind of this very narrow, windy sort of short chutes here. So there's a lot of a couple of good braking points where you can attempt to try and make a pass, particularly into turn 1. And through turns 13 and 14, if you can get a good exit from 3 down to 4 as well, that's another spot where you might see some overtakes in these cars, but it is going to be very difficult here. The St. Petersburg street circuit, of course, you'll see now coming around the corner. These guys they go past you can see the airport tower in the background, superbly modelled by iRacing. But one of the interesting things, when you get up towards the top of the circuit, the guys are at the bottom of the circuit now, so I will be able to talk about it in a second as we leave the airport and head up with Brandon McGaughan here. But if you look on your right hand side, you might see some floodlights in the distance, just in the background here on the right hand side, and those are floodlights of the Al Lang Stadium, which was a baseball stadium really that was used for the spring training for the home of several teams, including the New York Yankees and the St. Louis Cardinals from 1948 all the way up to 1997, and hosted the Cardinals minor league franchise in the Florida State League. But currently, since 2011, it is home of possibly one of the greatest named football teams in existence. It is the USL Championship team, the Tampa Bay Rowdies, play their home game at the Al Lang Stadium. So, yeah, you can cheer for the Rowdies if you so please.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Rowdies. American sports teams are such an interesting enigma. We're on board here with Connor Melia, a big fan of the IndyNXT and IndyCar, as he's heading through turn 2, down the straight towards turn number 4. You're looking for the 300-yard board there on the left-hand side. He's backed out of this lap, hasn't he? Yeah, he has. That's not Connor Melia. That's Connor Melia who's gone past him in towards the chicane. We're on board here with our RTA scholarship winner, Camto Chukwa. It's the double right-handers next. Quick flicks through here. You can just about push it through second gear, but you're going to get a lot of oversteer through here, and it is very trigger happy on exit. You're flicking down through the left-hander, totally flat out through here. Once again, looking for the 300-yard board for this corner. Don't touch that curb on the inside. That will put you in the wall. As Camto enters on towards Dan Weldon Drive, he does back out of that one. Not the greatest lap guide of all time, but you're in through the quick flick right and left, braking for the long hairpin, just about down to first gear, but you might short shift up to second to smoothen the throttle a little bit. It is a linear power application in these IndyNXT cars, but as you can see, a very quick lap, a very tricky one.
Yeah, it is a really tricky one, as you say. A lot of debris as well on the track. It's a street circuit, so it's not a designated racing track, and so there's going to be a lot of dust and dirt and debris on the track that wouldn't otherwise exist. There's a car park that I had to needle the track map through, if you saw it on our opening screen there, but not particularly easy to find out exactly where the corners were, but we got there in the end. But yeah, it's going to be very dusty, and there's not going to be a very clear racing line. Obviously, if you know anything about aviation, which at least two of us in the commentary box definitely know about it, myself and Ronan Hedeman, who's doing a great job in the background there with the directorship, as always. A benevolent director is Ronan, thankfully, although Peter McCann mightn't necessarily say the same thing. But yeah, the runways, of course, there's a lot of rubber on either end who are Mister, because obviously that's where the planes generally tend to touch down, so that's where they deposit the most amount of rubber off their tires. But during the rest of the runway, there's nobody really lands in the middle of a runway unless you are Ronan Hedman, and I've seen some of those attempts. But yeah, so it generally means that you're going to have maybe down towards turn number 1 as the runway runs out. You might have some rubber put down, but for the middle of the runway, there's going to be absolutely no grip. And of course, Evan, as well as you said, trying to build temperatures like with such a long straight over such a short track. It's very hard to get temperature into the brakes because as you build temperature, you lose all that temperature then going down that main straight.
Yeah, even ILS can't save Ronan when he gets on short final, as Kamto Chukwa didn't get the lap in when we were on board with him and proceeded to go quickest on the next lap, 1:03.7. Interestingly enough, you mentioned about the braking zones, Kevin. One really difficult thing on this car is actually stopping it. You've got to be so gentle on the brakes that the front will just lock. Brake bias has to be ran a lot rearward, a lot more than you would think, although that is similar to the Indy car in some aspects. It's a very tricky car to stop. You're going to see a lot of lockups, and potentially on first lap with cold tyres, when maybe the braking feels a little bit different, we could see a couple of pile-ups in towards turn number 3 more so than turn number 1. So there's 1, there's 2, turn number 4, apologies. The quick flick is 3. And then in towards turn number 4. So Kamto Chukwa quickest so far. It's the returning Ronan Doherty who is in second position, running the old Chip Ganassi target livery on his indyNXT. Dylan McClements then is in third and into the back of someone. Ooh. And that is a little teaser for what we can expect this evening.
Yeah, I was just going to say a little bit of gives you an idea of what we may be dealing with later on, some of those couple of car pileups. On the subject of running your brake bias very rearwards, I do want to give, we do give him a lot of abuse, but I do want to give a shout out to Ronan Hedman, who took part in the Nuremberg 24 hours, of course. That was 2 weeks ago, 2 weekends ago. And Ronan running brake bias, which is about 10 clicks back from where the rest of us were running it, and caused me to have a very, very rapid sort of check as I was leaving the pit lane to realise that actually I was running with my brake bias almost in my arse. But Ronan was like by some distance the fastest and most definitely the most consistent in the car over the weekend. And yeah, unfortunately we didn't quite do as well as we should have, but as I said in our message to the group, if we had 4 Ronans in the car, we'd have been absolutely flying. But I don't know if I'd want 4 Ronans in the chat with each other. Just the amount of moaning in that chat, I don't know if I could actually put up with it. Right.
Going to see that special event went a lot better than Bathurst for Ronan. Anyways.
Yeah, no. Couldn't have gone much worse.
Yeah, no potential bans this time.
Right, we have a couple of new names. I'm gonna, before we go and have a chat about some of them, because Evan, inevitably you always know more about these new names than I do, so I'll give you an opportunity to look up some of them. But we are acknowledging Sean McClements, who is in 5th at the moment and has been roaring at us in the chat to give him some acknowledgement. So yes, Sean, it's great to have you on board. Hope you're recovering well after that accident, and I suppose we must give an update on that GoFundMe as well, because that's been still running. Thanks Sam as well. Emerald Car Shots saying good evening. Chris McCann joining us as well. He was joined us on my own stream for a bit as well 2 weeks ago. Thanks to have you back on board. Chris, who says Mr. Doherty is back this season. Cluster Funk says glad to see Campto back. And Eddie Gameson saying evening everyone. We were looking previously at Cahill Crorkin. He's number 22. He's a new name. I was wondering where Cahill we picked him up from, but I think he is yet another one of the Potato Nation / Jack Wynn guys, because Irby Gerbies, a great username by the way, says Kyle talking about how he'd get smoked in this league and he's already giving Bicky a run for his money. That was not necessarily Kyle's finest work as he goes back to the pits, but yeah, Bicky is Eric Killeen, car number 19, Shamrock Motorsports. He's been joining us for the last couple of seasons. He's been a super addition to the RTA grid, and yeah, let's hope that that Cahill gives as good as Eric does. I see another new name in the number 1 car. pretty brazen to enter a brand new league and sport the number 1 on your car, but that's the man just in the background there, Terje Hele. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Terje Hele. But yeah, 105.112. He was called up in that incident earlier with Carl Gorkin. But a couple of new guys on the grid. Always great to see, Evan.
Yeah, the man nicknamed Turtle Hell, and he says it's because he's slow and causes incidents. His words, not mine. So, bit of a way to introduce himself. But he is of Jamal Gandor levels of sim racing experience, racing since the late 80s. So the Norwegian comes here with a lot of experience, but says he is just here because it looked like a load of fun.
Yeah, well, it is for both us and you guys. And yeah, I'm not even gonna. You know where I'm gonna take this. I'm not gonna take it there, but you know where I'm taking it when you mention the name Jamal Gandor. But yeah, another one is Chim Kolbeinsen, the number 18 car. A lot of different nationalities as well. Brilliant to see that. And it seems like our little league is starting to grab the attention of people from around.
Yes, which is, it's about time. It is Ireland's premier sim racing series. It deserves that attention. But Kem is looking to make a bit of an impact. He's currently only 2/10 off Knockhill's greatest ever driver, Peter McCann, in 22nd position. So not too bad to be keeping up with an RTA regular. That's a strange livery for Peter. Is that an orange mobile livery? Oh, you know all about orange, being a Marseille fan.
Well, yeah, I'd certainly know about absolute abject disappointment anyway, if nothing else. Obviously, sponsors of the Velodrome. I heard a joke recently, and I'm sure our northern brethren won't mind me telling it because it is quite a funny joke. And I know I can feel the guys starting to clench when I say this, but it is PG, I promise. So I was. This one goes to Vittorio Angelone, who's a Belfast-based comedian who you might know. And Vittorio said was asked once the difference between a Catholic and a Protestant, and Vittorio says,
"Yes, yeah.
The difference between a Catholic and a Protestant is that Catholics believe in transubstantiation, i.e., they believe the bread and wine is quite literally the body and blood of Jesus Christ himself. Protestants, meanwhile, just believe that Rangers are still going to win the league," which I think is that's a great joke.
Kept finishing second, spent £40 million, finished third. But like,
not even the best Protestant club in the Scottish Premier League, by the way. Hearts are taking that title this year.
I'm surprised Ronan Doherty's not running the orange livery, given he is officially racing under the Union Jack at the United Formula 4 Championship.
Oh, no, you said you went there. I didn't. Somebody says, Chris, speaking of Peter McCann, obviously, as you said, Knockhill's finest. Loves a barrier in real life and in the virtual world. He says, somebody says here, that's Sam, he says, great to see rookie sensation Peter McCann racing this season. Definitely one to watch as he progresses through his career. I know he's a big deal lined up with Earn Tiles, which we're hoping that he'll be able to get over the line. That was a massive one.
Stick it on the intro.
That is. I think we just need a compilation of Peter McCann's greatest crashes. That would definitely be 5 penalty points.
Yeah, Garda McCann, reckless driving. Oh, they're always at it. Pole position so far though is going to the resident orange man Ronan Doherty up the top. Cameron Chuckers in second. I'm sure I'm going to get a punch for that one.
Yeah, you deserve it too.
This weekend. Dylan McClements is in third, Harvey Darrett in fourth, Sean McClements in fifth, and Brandon McGaughan, Tony Griffin, and Kevin Joyce, Lee Cogan, and Conor Melia in 10th position. And it's Ken Doyle, Paolo Kishkan, Dermot Toomey, Sean McGoldrick, Alex King, Niall Stevens. So in a bit of a jumbled up top 15. A lot of regulars up there though, so it seems like the newcomers just yet to get up to speed. Less than a minute, or just over a minute to go in qualifying. Time to get the lap in.
Yeah, Dylan McClements in third, and you just saw Dylan there in the BWT livery. He is he's struggling. You can see there, even he's struggling on this track, and I get a sense that it's that's the exact same corner where Dylan got it wrong, and Niall Stevens getting it wrong in that respect. And another one going off in the background. Loads of black flags, ladies and gents. So that'll give you a sense and I get a feeling that it's like driving on ice, these cars. You can't slow them down quick enough, and then when you get around the corner, you're just afraid of the back stepping out. So it's just going to be a case of survival, I reckon, for this opening race. It's going to be exceptionally difficult. Yeah, I mean, when you see people like Dylan McClemens, who's been absolutely dominating this series, struggling in these cars, I really get a feel yeah, I mean, I just if you're laughing at these guys, try booting up in an indyNXT car and do this for yourself, because it is not easy.
I was 10th in practice last night. I'm allowed to say it.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's probably because you're the only one that finished in the top 10 that finished a complete lap.
No, I
fair
just
play
pushed
to.
past.
Okay. Emerald Car Shots Photography says Peter McCann looks like he has a great sponsorship deal with Tech Pro Barriers, as he is quite a regular. Great one. All right, qualifying results. 7, take it away.
Ronan Doherty returns immediately on pole position. A man who knows how to drive a single-seater. Campbell Chuckaway in second, then Dylan McClemens in third. Harvey Dara in fourth, and it is Sean McClemens in fifth, ahead of Brandon McGowan, Tony Griffin, Kevin Joyce, Lee Cogan, Conor Melia, Paolo Kishkan, Ken Doyle, Dermot Toomey, Sean McGoldrick, Alex King, Niall Stevens, Jack Wynne, Cathal Corkin, Eric Killeen, and Terry Helle, and in 20th position. Then 21st, Dara O'Connor, Peter McCann in 22nd, ahead of Kem Comlianson in 23rd, Adam Dowling in 24th, and Ronan Keane, Queevy and Brennan, and Jordan Kelly not racing this evening, just setting up the server. Standing starts for this series in what will be the first ever indyNXT standing start in the history of motor racing.
Yeah, and as you were saying, Evan, because of the nature of these tracks, this track doesn't actually have grid spots because it's a runway. So it's kind of estimated grid spots for tonight, I think, for these guys. But yeah, a nice mix of liveries, some old, some new, some custom, some real world. And yeah, really looking forward to seeing how these guys get on. Those planes in the background may need to be moved slightly further towards the hangars, because I suspect quite a few of those spectators might be in immediate danger, given what we've seen. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to be marshalling this evening at this track, because I would say we're going to have incidents aplenty. Speaking of, 15 for a drive-through, 20 for a disqualification. We'll try and get to that later on, and we'll give you the full calendar as well at the end of the race. But as we get going for the first heat.
Yes, it is 2.0 litre inline 4 turbocharged indyNXT machine sat on the grid here in St. Petersburg as Let's Let Battle commence for another season of RTA Virtual Motorsport. It's a cracking start from Campto Chuckaway down towards the first corner. Has he outbroke himself? No, not quite. Ronan Doherty's going to try tuck into his slipstream, and there's a couple gone round. I see Ronan Keane, and Dylan McClemens is into the wall, and pop goes the weasel. Kevin Joyce jumps over the top of him. It's an excellent executed high jump, but Campto Chuckaway was also in the wall. Have you ever seen the likes? They've all barely made it through the first sector.
Oh, they've all been it. Ronan's been it as well. Ronan Doherty's been in the 21 car. They all of our main leaders. Oh, and it's going to be another accident with himself and Eric Killeen coming around the corner. And it is Harvey Dara. And speaking of racing under the Union Jack, the number 24 car is into the lead. Now 1.6 seconds ahead of Brandon McGowan. Tony Griffin in third. And Sean McClemens is the only DDR driver with a chance of a podium on this opening race. And I'm sure you wouldn't have expected that when you saw the starting grid.
Yeah, there's a 100% chance of a caution in IndyCar at St. Petersburg. We don't obviously have safety cars here in RTA, but you can practically guarantee there would have been one. Harvey Dara leads in Florida. Brandon McGowan second. Tony Griffin in third. Jack Wynne and Cathal Corkin both up 10 positions. Adam Dowling and Ronan Keane up 14. Some who we've lost. We've lost McGoldrick, Doyle, Helle, Chuckaway, McClemens, Kablinson, Melia, Cogan, Doherty. A lot of experienced RTA racers in that one. As round goes Dara O'Connor.
Yeah, that's Dara O'Connor, the Apex Twin Racing Machine. Ah, that's also number 20, Peter McCann. And he's, oh man, never has an orange man had a worse day than when Celtic won the league last year. The number 20 into the wall, unfortunately for him. Yeah, it's not been a great one for Peter, but in fairness to Peter, he is on a very, very long and talented list of drivers who have already found the Tech Pro so far this evening. Yeah, it's a crazy one. I don't envy these guys having to do this on the opening race of the season. a little bit masochistic, I think, by Jordan Kelly to try and set this up. Oh, as Diarmuid Toomey almost loops it around, but does a great job of counter-steering to catch the spin halfway through. Quiveen Brennan, Pavlo, Kishkan, Terkehela, Ken Doyle, Sean McGoldrick, all in the pits. Camto, Chem, Connor, Dylan, Lee Cogan, Eric Killeen, Ronan Doherty, Peter McCann, way down the grid. And Alex King, new boy Alex King, the only American on the grid, or at least the only one racing under the American flag, number 23. He is flying round here. I wonder, is Alex a bit of an indyNXT specialist? And he is loving life on this grid. He's 6th at the moment and putting pressure on Sean McClemens.
Yeah, really nice guy is Alex. Was speaking to him for a little bit yesterday. Very, very nice, and looking forward to racing here in RTA. Sean McClemens has no front wing, and Kevin Joyce is doing the Marcus Ericsson Nashville strategy of going airborne and trying to win. And now down the inside goes Kevin Joyce on Sean McClemens, and they've swapped around, and now it looks like that front wingless machine of Sean McClemens is falling down the order.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult for Sean to try and keep where he is given the damage on his car. But Alex now up into 5th. That's 10 positions for the 23 car. 13 positions for Adam Dowling. Adam obviously has been pretty disappointing in recent seasons, and I'm sure by his own admission, just hasn't had the amount of time on the sim necessary to try and keep consistent laps. But he's having a great start here. Is the number 11 car. We know, and I can tell you from first-hand experience, how rapid Adam is on track, so there's no worries about that. But just maybe giving a little bit more time in the sim in the run-up to this one, and certainly benefiting from the accidents in front. Jack Wynn is another one of those who's benefited from that. He's up 10 positions, no less, and he's the latest now to put pressure on the last remaining Team DDR driver in the hunt.
Yes, he is. As old Jack Wynn very late in the brakes into the final corner, running the old Nigel Mansell-esque Williams machine. Nigel Mansell, of course, an IndyCar champion, almost won the Indy 500 in his very first attempt, was leading it, then made a mess of the final caution restart, and unfortunately lost the win to his teammate Mario Andretti. But Jack Wynn doing a good job staying in front of Cathal Corkin. As we now look at who was our pole sitter once upon a time, Ronan Doherty looked to cut through the field. He's already back up to 12th, getting in front of Dara O'Connor, who is running around running. Something similar to an oval setup without a front wing.
Yeah, there's a couple like those who are attempting the oval setup on the street circuit. Yeah, Ronan Doherty, a little bit of damage when he spun. I think that was caused by Camto's off there and somewhere around here as Peter McCann goes around again. I think Peter would almost be better off driving in reverse at this point. He's been facing the wrong way so many times this evening. But
yeah, Kylie Minogue like back soundtrack to a compilation. Someone with more talent than us to do that, please.
Is it Duran, you spin me right round like a record?
Dead alive.
Yeah, there you go. Devin knows. That's great knowledge from you, Evan. In fairness, that is super knowledge. Jack Wynn eventually makes that pass, and Sean McClemens, I think his eyes were a little bit bigger than his stomach in the last lap as he went a little bit too deep into the corner, but he managed to make the move done on that one. Brandon McGaughan in 2nd position, but Brandon 2.9 seconds now behind Harvey Dara, who obviously Harvey is a karter by nature, so I suppose he'd be very much more comfortable with these single seaters over the tin tops, but still doing a great job as Harvey to eke out that lead on Brandon McGaughan, who has so much experience in both sim and real life. So it is going to be a very, very that'll stand to Harvey battling against the likes of Brandon. Chris McCann says he's currently in conversation with his parents to disown Peter. I'm surprised that conversation has taken this long, but glad that it's finally come around to it, that you've finally seen sense. And yeah, Irby says Peter's really having a week with those barriers. And to be fair to Peter, he gets the brunt of it, and he's well able for it. But as I said, a lot of other guys struggling big time here, and this is not an easy track to begin with at all, Evan.
It's not easy at all, as we see Ronan Doherty diving down the inside of Adam Dowling, and that is a little nudge between the two, but they've got away with it, and Ronan Doherty cleared the area very quickly, running that old Chip Ganassi Racing IndyCar livery, of course, which brings me on to what I was going to say before the bit of action. Brandon McGaughan is a racing historian. The livery he's running is a Danny Sullivan Miller livery that was ran in the 1985 Indy 500. Jacob Abel ran it again in last year's Indy 500, but he didn't qualify for it, so it's a bit cooler to say it was from 1985. But Brandon's streak of having excellent liveries continues on.
Yeah, and you wonder sometimes, do guys pick liveries just at random? Sometimes they qualify for a championship and they're not willing to put the time in to design their own one, or they can't, and they just go straight onto trading paints and pick one. But Brandon is actually picking one for a reason. He's not just randomly picking liveries. Like, he knows, as you said, he's a historian. He knows what he's picking, and he always gets really good historic ones. So hat tip to you, Mr. McGahan. He's under pressure here from Tony Griffin, who won driver of the day, I think, on the last week of last season. He had a good old battle, ding-dong battle with Jan Zoutfella, who sadly isn't on the grid this evening. But to be fair to Tony, like, being a midfield runner this in the last couple of seasons, but I think Tony's really well positioned to start breaking into that forward part of the grid, because he's just really consistent at the moment, and he's on a great run of form.
Yep, won 2 unanimous driver of the days, won the most improved driver of the season, and it's not a bad place to be if you're Tony Griffin. He's running very well in recent RTA history. So let's see, can he continue it on? He's on for a podium here in the first race of the season, which is not bad going at all. And we're on board here with Alex King, who's looking to dethrone Kevin Joyce of 4th place as they head down the main straight here in towards turn number 1. This is not the white flag, as our leaders went through earlier. So we will have this lap and one more, as that's a big lunge down the inside from Cathal Corkin on Sean McClements. Very surprised Sean hasn't been black and orange flagged and brought into the pit lane, although that flag not commonly shown around Sean McClements, as Cathal Corkin running a Conor Mealy livery. That's a Conor Mealy livery, I'm afraid.
Less said the better about that last comment regarding Sean McClements, but yeah, absolutely a Conor Mealy special here. Just slapped on the old Martini livery and drove on. Jordan Kelly says, who's down at Skibbereen at the moment. Hello, Jordan. Hope you're enjoying the old West Cork. Welcome. I won't be too far from you tomorrow. Just on a point. But yeah, he says this season is going to be madness with this car, says the man who decided to appoint a street circuit as the opening round of the season. So yeah, I think Peter or Jordan knew exactly what he was doing when he did that. Hello to Johnny Hollywood. He says ahoy hoy. Was this about my cube? And Chris McCann says, could you be any further away from home, Jordan? I actually don't think so. I think Skibbereen, unless you were down in Tremor or somewhere in Dungarvan, I think that's about as far as Jordan can get from his home place. Tony Griffin battling here with Brandon McGahan.
On the push to pass, he's got a chance.
Yeah, and he's gonna like, does it that start finish line on the runway? It comes a little bit down, so if you get a good exit, you have a great chance. Oh, Tony's almost followed him into the barrier. Can Brandon hold on to it? Tony's all over the back of him. Brandon might have just got away with that, Evan.
Yeah, I think he has. Brandon McGahan goes defensive into the hairpin, and Tony Griffin's run very, very wide indeed. He's looking for the switchback. Oh, he's mounted the curb. It's the worst racing line ever seen for the final corner. No, Tony Griffin's not quite got the run. He will hold on to the podium. That was a hectic last lap. They all burned all of their push to pass on the run to the straight. You've got 65 seconds over the course of the race, as we are looking at another fight between Conor Mealy and Darragh O'Connor for 14th.
Yeah, Conor has all of his wing. Darragh has none of it. Conor has the inside line, but he's not going to have the run. That extra weight from the front wing holding him back is Dylan McClements all over the back of him as well. McClements tries to go around the outside. He's also calling right. Eric Khalid. Conor Mealy goes around the outside. He's made a batch of it. And Dylan McClements has cut down the inside. And incredibly, Darragh O'Connor in the oval setup manages to get ahead of the gaggle to go for some great finishes to that one. That Tony Griffin one. Brandon extremely lucky because he hit the wall on the outside, but there was just nowhere for Tony to go, and he had to back off to avoid an instant, and he just couldn't get back. Did everything he could to get her to try and get past the final corner, but just couldn't do so. And it's Harvey Darragh who, by a country mile, wins our opening heat, despite being a good bit off in qualifying. The number 24 car has exceptional race pace and wins the opening heat of the opening round of the RTA indyNXT Championship.
Yeah, that's a brilliant win for Harvey. And he is on top ahead of Brandon McGaughan in second. Tony Griffin in third ahead of Kevin Joyce in fourth. Alex King in fifth. And it was Jack Wynne, Sean McClemens, Cathal Corkin, Niall Stevens, Dermot Toomey, Ronan Doherty, Lee Cogan, Adam Dowling, Dara O'Connor, Dylan McClemens, Conor Melia, Eric Killeen, Peter McCann, Camto Chukwa, Kemka Blinson. Then in 20th position. 21st, Paolo Kishkan ahead of Terje Hella. And then Sean McGoldrick, Ken Doyle, Ronan Keane, Queeveen Brennan to round out the order. I still think that's the first ever time we've seen the top three all crash, almost all on their own, within the first four corners of a race.
Yeah, absolutely insane stuff, and I suspect the second one will be just as much carnage. 15 minutes here, folks, for the second race, and we will have a 21 to finish, but here we go. Hold your breath.
Yep, it was a hectic opening lap in heat number one. Can Harvey Dara and Brandon McGaughan get a better getaway, as it's a standing start once again in the indyNXT? And Harvey Dara down towards the first corner has been swept round the outside by Tony Griffin, who leads here in Florida. Harvey Dara's under a lot of pressure from Sean McClemens. It's a lot cleaner this time round, but this is the tricky corner. You can snatch your brakes very, very easily in towards here, and you've got to make sure you're uber cool. Once you reach the 300-yard board, they all seem fairly safely through. Tony Griffin still leads ahead of Brandon McGaughan. An bit of a lock-up from Ronan Doherty, as it seems like the Norwegian nightmare, Terje Hella, is off at the runoff.
Yeah, Hella continuing where he left off the last race. Unfortunately, both the Norwegian continuing struggling, but Cem Kolbeinsen is up 4 places. Niall Stevens down 9, another new runner. He had a jump start off the line and has a black flag. Dara O'Connor and unfortunately Adam Dowling also getting caught up in instance. And Sean McGoldrick down 1 place as well. Harvey down 2 places now, and after such a good opening race, he's going to have to show all of that pace to try and get back. But overall, a better start to this opening lap of the second heat than we had in the first, although we see Niall Stevens getting involved in more instances there. I think he had to swing himself into the pits, and I think Cem Kolbeinsen also maybe got caught up in some instance there, as Conor Melia here battling with 2 cars. That's Camto Chukwa trying to overtake Cathal Corkin. They're going to go too wide into that corner, and Corkin's going to have the inside. Is Camto going to give him enough room? He is. That's good driving from our scholarship driver, managing to get the move done, but very cleanly indeed, as we go back to the front. And Tony Griffin is taking the lead now ahead of Brandon McGaughan. Tony up 2 places, followed by Brandon in that 89 car, followed by Harvey Dara in the 24. But they are line and stern as we head back towards the airport to begin our third lap.
Yeah, they're all slowly finding their groove here as they head onto the main straight. Top speed of these machines, 184 mile an hour on the road course, a little bit quicker on the ovals. 450 brake. With an extra 50 once the push to pass is kicked in, so that's how crucial the push to pass is. Brandon McGaughan hasn't touched the button yet so far this race. Tony Griffin has burned the guts of 10 seconds. It's the boy from Dunloy, not much of a boy anymore, but Ronan Doherty, the Formula Ford racer, who is on the tail of Kevin Joyce here in the indyNXT and not able to get past just yet. Kevin Joyce, very steady running so far. Traditionally like single-seaters compared to tin tops does Kevin, and he always seems to run well in them, running well here at St. Pete.
Yeah, Kevin, really another guy in the bracket of Tony Griffin, where just really stepped up a notch in the last couple of seasons. Been racing consistently and been practicing consistently. You can see how that works out for him. He's been really good as Camto now tries to move down the inside of Conor Melia. The two of these guys raced with each other a few weeks ago. A little bit late in the breaks. Did he get away with it, Camto? Okay. He scraped the wall, but I think just like a Revolut transaction, he was relatively safe. And got through that corner. Well, I think it's more PayPal we're worrying about than Revolut, but that's another story for another day. Hello, Rob Parks, if you are watching. Right, Ronan Doherty in the 21 car. He's making up ground, and he's on the tail of Alex King, who has had a great start so far in this championship. Ronan has a point to prove here. Definitely, as Brandon almost loses it there, and he's opened up the door for Harvey Dara to have a go. Harvey sticks the nose in there, but ultimately decides discretion is the better part of valor, and all this is going on. Tony Griffin's opening up almost a 3-second lead further down the road.
Yeah, Harvey Doward just looks like the only one comfortable in this heat so far.
As he hits
I
the
say
wall.
that as he glances the ball um, in through the fast sweeping section. It just the car. Okay, I know he glanced the wall. It just seems to be the only one that's really settled. As Ronan Doherty down the inside, his younger cousin Dylan McClements is looking to follow him through, and Dylan McClements, you can see, is on the button there, looking to chase after Doherty down the runway, the main straight here at St. Pete. He's not close enough to get into the braking zone. Dylan made that mistake at the start of heat number 1, but does have an excuse. Unfortunately, Dylan was actually in hospital yesterday, got a bit of a bad sunburn, so he is a little bit walking wounded here out on the circuit. Didn't get any practice in last night and is still running some exceptionally quick times. So once again, another exceptional showing from Dylan McClements.
Poor old McClements boys, like, I mean, almost every week one of them is injured or sick or there's something wrong with them, and they're struggling to make the grid. So poor old fellas.
In my preparation for dissertation and project next year, a really good idea I think has to be a sitcom about the McClements family, because the content would just be unbelievable.
It's just like it's like I don't know. It's like the average ward of any university hospital across the country, really. But anyway, right. Ronan Doherty on the tail of Jack Wynn. Also, as you said, in the Nigel Mansell inspired Williams livery. Not quite in that type of machinery, and Jack. Being done there by the correct Chip Ganassi livery to 21 car. Just goes to show you a little bit of knowledge goes a long way as Dylan tries to stick it down the inside. And if there's anything sick about Dylan, it's his overtakes. But unfortunately, that's Jack Wynn going straight into the side of the 88. And oh, that's good. I see how much it looks like Dylan's going to carry some extra damage there. We'll have a look at a replay if we can at that. But Dylan, it was a risky move, Evan, but it looked like, for all intents and purposes, he had the job done. We'll have to see on whose head bees it.
I'm glad we have the replay because I didn't actually see it. Have a look in through here. So Dylan on the inside, Jack on the outside. He was a day late and $1 short there. And yeah. I think Dylan may have turned across a little bit too early, but no, I think Jack was just too late sending that back down the inside.
And I think Jack did that kind of classic thing that particularly sim racers do so often, where you're so keen to keep a gap to the car next to you, you go straight into the curb, and then that has the complete opposite effect in terms of it just kicks you straight back across the track. And I think that may be what happened to Jack when he hit that curb. It just kicked him back into the path of Dylan, and because that's like a fairly severe sausage curve there on the inside of that other car park. And unfortunately that spat him into the side of Dylan. Carl Crorkin, unfortunately, coming Cropper, the number 22 car, going off there at turn number 3, I think, or 4, perhaps 4 actually, and falling down the grid. Here's Lee Cogan in the number 26 car. Cogan's is a well-known car dealership in Cork. So I was hoping that Lee would live up to his name. We haven't talked about him too much in the last couple of seasons, but he's running well here. The number 26 car in 8th position and fending off Campto Chuckwell. We have about halfway through this second heat, and Tony Griffin again ahead by 3 seconds, and Harvey's all over the back of Brandon McGowan, but he just can't make the move done. Sorry, I got a little bit excited there. I thought Tony had made a mess of that, but just completely lost my sense of perspective there, so forget that.
Yeah, Lee Cogan, about as Corkonian as Tala from Carrick Macross Monaghan. So I don't think any relation to the Cogans, unfortunately. But we were speaking about officials earlier. Lee Cogan quite a decent track record. And
that's not great from Dara O'Connor. Right into Sean McGoldrick, and then Dara spinning out in solidarity, but a little bit too late there. Unfortunately, Eric Killeen once again being the injured party there, arriving on the scene of an accident that he had absolutely no hand or part in. As look at that, that's Peter McCann going around the corner without spinning. Things you don't see every day.
Very shiny car for Sean McGoldrick. I'd love to see what livery he is. As a bit of appreciation for Kevin Joyce's Leighton House livery for from Johnny Hollywood, I should say. Sorry, Johnny, I forgot your name. Say your name there for a second.
Despite the
Sean
fact that it's
McClemon's an
written
interesting
next to the
livery as
comment.
well. I believe he has not a classic F1, but has the Filet-O-Fish on the side, which is about what you'd expect. Brandon McGaughan, hit that apex nicely. Harvey Darrow was looking to get underneath him in through the corner, but as they enter in towards the two right-handers, McGaughan may not have the outright pace, but has defended well here.
Yeah, some great shots as well on board this helmet cam, running through the snaking streets of St. Pete, and you get an idea of how close this is, as Harry was half thinking about a move down the inside, but covered off by Brandon. Brandon's gotten that wrong, though. He's hit the wall on the outside. We saw something similar on the final lap. That seems to be where Brandon makes the mistake. If he's under pressure, can Harvey now capitalise on it? He's going to try to switch back here. We'll have to see whether that damage impacts on... Oh, no! Harvey's lost it! Harvey just got too ambitious. He just got... back bumper fever, did the 24 card, stepped on the loud pedal way too early, and the front swapped with the back, and unfortunately the race winner in race 1 is more than likely going to be off the podium in race number 2.
Oh, such an easy mistake to make in these cars. They are very light and have a lot of power and just flick around if you're not smooth on the throttle. Brandon's experience really showed there. Harvey very eager to get the move done and just made the mistake.
Yeah, and it's so easily done. You get that, as I call it, like the rear fender fever, where you see a car in front of you and you're trying to just get that little bit extra. You're asking more and more of the car, and you just forget the limitations a little bit as you're trying to push more and more. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened there for Harvey Darrow, who finds himself all the way down in 6th position. This man, however, this was the man who obviously finished on pole position, the fastest driver on paper, and Ronan is up 7 places to 4th position. A reminder, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't watched us before on RTA, we may have some new watchers, given we have new drivers, and if you've joined us, thank you very much. The first thing I would ask you to do is give us a thumbs up. The second thing I would ask you to do is give us a subscription so you can comment in the chat, and that applies to everybody else who isn't subscribed as well. But yeah, we will have the first 2 races are flat grids set by pole and the results of race 1, but our final race, the top 8 reverse. So at the moment, Lee Cogan, as you can see in your timing screen on the left hand side, as Dylan, superb move on the inside of Conor Mealy. I think Conor just let him go a little bit there, probably knew that Dylan was the faster driver, having been subject to that slight assault from Jack Gwynn, who in fairness, Jack has apologised for it on chat, so we're being told. But yeah, top 8 reverse. So at the moment, Lee Cogan will be our P1 in the final race. He'll be followed by Kevin Joyce in that Leighton House liveried number 9 car, and then Harvey Darrow, Alex King, blah blah blah, down to Tony Griffin, who is the number 8 car, is set to finish. Or sorry, he's 8 seconds of push to pass left. The number 2 car is set to start the final race in 8th position, and then 9th. Unfortunately, Camto at the moment, he will be the driver that misses out in that top 8. He will start where he finished in the first race, if that makes sense. Top 8 reversed. Everyone else stays as they are. And I'm sure for nearly everyone watching, you'll be well aware of that. But for those new watching us, first of all, thank you very much for joining us. And second of all, gives you a little bit of an indication. Oh, Brandon McGaughan has made an absolute hames of T4. We've seen so many offs there thus far. And the number 89 car. And I think, Evan, once again, Adhesion lacked him when he needed it most.
Yep, he's ran too deep into the corner here, I would say. And it seems like the mistakes are afraid of no one here in these indyNXT cars. Let's see, does he lock a front? He does. Yeah, Brandon has done very well there to keep that out of the barriers. Others may have committed to the corner, but he's lost 2 positions. He now falls into 4th. He's behind the Team Didier duo of Sean McClements and Ronan Doherty. A dangerous duo to find in the bridge on a Friday. A dangerous duo to come across here in St. Petersburg. Alex King, I have to say, on debut, our sole American runner, up to 5th in heat number 2. What a performance so far.
Yeah, you certainly won't see Alex King crossing those 2 in the bridge on a Friday night. I think that would be a bit of a culture shock for our number 23 car. Oh dear, that's an unfortunate sentence out of context. But yeah, Alex.
that was a bad
Certainly
one.
mixing it with the best there at the moment. And Sean McClements finds himself in second position. Sean, who was missing half a wing in the last race, now the TDR drivers once again find themselves up the front of the grid where they should have been all along. Sean and Ronan at least. Yeah, thanks to all of you for getting in touch in the chat. Tony Griffin leading by 4.2 seconds. There was something else I was going to say before I got distracted.
Just before I get a
but
defamation case from Alex King, the Fiddler's Rest is a pub in Antrim in Portlaown.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
It sounded very bad.
It doesn't mean that we're not going to clip it and use it out of context in a social media setting.
Portlaown, two Antrim boys, Ronan Darty and Sean McClements. Ronan has made a mockery of Sean really there. Got past very quickly. Sean was actually pulling away for a little bit. Got the gap up to a second, but Ronan timing the move right. And as they're on the second final lap here, getting ahead.
Yeah, Dylan, speaking of the McClements boys and the boys from Antrim, oh, Dylan giving a little bit of an exhibition there through that corner. He has loads of push to pass left, 21 seconds. Now, time is running out. He may be a richest loser here in terms of having all that time left, but he's going to burn as much as he can in this final lap to try and make up whatever gap he can. What I was going to say, and I know we're not going to have a huge amount of time because Tony Griffin is going to finish the race. Yeah, he's coming around the finish line now. So let's take it away, Evan, and I'll finish my thoughts in a second.
Yeah, terrific. Tony Griffin weaves his way across the line. What a win for Tony here in St. Pete. That is fantastic. He became the king of the corkscrew at the end of the Porsche Cup, but now he is the Prince of Petersberg here as Dylan McClements whams Lee Cogan into the wall. And I'm not going to say the obvious joke there. This is Ken Doyle on the back of Kemka Blimson, two drivers who have had mixed fortunes, let's say, this evening.
Yeah, similarly sounding names, but very, very different fortunes. That is Niall Stevens going straight on in a right turn. Classic NASCAR driving there, not knowing what a turn is unless it is left. As Niall goes straight on, and that's going to open the door for Peter McGann just to get past. Is finishing 18th in the orange livery. Queeveen Brennan in 22nd, followed by Sean McGoldrick. That's Ronan Keane ahead of you in the Marlborough livery, just coming across the line. McGoldrick followed by Jack Wynn. That is the second race. Tony Griffin, our provisional race winner. What I was going to say, and it may be so long now that it might be out of context, but you can always tell the sign of a really great driver in how they're able to flick the back end around when they go on at the corner. So even though Ronan went deep into that corner, he was able to just really nicely flick the back end back around and get back on track straight away. And that's like one of those tiny little signs of a really, really talented driver, even when they make a mistake. Anyway, Tony Griffin, our race winner for the second race.
Yeah, Tony Griffin wins the second heat here in St. Petersburg. Ronan Darty in second, then Sean McClements in third, Brandon McGaughan in fourth, Harvey Dara in fifth, Alex King in sixth, ahead of Kevin Joyce in seventh. Then it is Lee Cogan, Dylan McClements, Camto Chukwa, Conor Amelia, Dermot Toomey, Kemka Blinson, Ken Doyle, and Dara O'Connor ahead of Eric Killeen, Cathal Crokin. Then it is Peter McCann, Niall Stevens. Then it is Terry Ahale ahead of Ronan Keane, Queeveen Brennan, Sean McGoldrick, Jack Wynn, Adam Dowling, and Paolo Kishkan in the last position here on the grid. But let's hear then from your race winner, Tony Griffin. Tony, congratulations. After a plethora of podiums, it is a win here in St. Pete. How does that feel?
It feels amazing, yeah. After all the Porsche Cup podiums, I finally get this one, so it's good, yeah.
Yeah, all the Porsche Cup podiums you kind of had to really, really fight for. This was very different. You were able to just drive off into the distance. Was that almost more nerve-wracking than, say, the battles?
Yeah, exactly. When you're out in front and you've got gaps behind and gaps ahead, you sometimes might lose concentration, but that was all I had to do now just to secure the win in this one. Just don't make a mistake and you'll be grand. So yeah, it definitely was nerve-wracking.
Yeah, a lot of drivers struggling here tonight, but you've seemed to have got your hands on this IndyNXT car fairly quickly. Are you enjoying what you're experiencing here in Florida?
Yeah, it's definitely a handful, of course, this car. But as long as you stay out of trouble, which I barely did in the first race, and well, I did completely pretty much in the second, it's okay, like, so it's manageable for sure.
Tony, we're going to let you go and get ready for heat number 3. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And now in second place, upon his return to RTA, Ronan Doherty joins Kevin.
Ronan, congratulations on your second place. One of the commenters here say these cars seem like they drive like a bar of soap in a bathtub. Now, I'm not intimating that you know anything about dropping a bar of soap in a bathtub, but would you agree with that estimation?
I think they just are what they are. They're quite low grip, and there's a real big turbo. It takes long to spill up, and when it comes in with a bang. So it's kind of just all about managing that.
What do you make of this combination as an opening round? Have you any words for Jordan Kelly?
No, well, it's where they start in real life and stuff. To be fair, it's a tricky one for me to have. I've been out of sim racing now for 4 or 5 months, so coming back, it was tricky to get down to it again. But listen, it's a challenge. Like, you know, when you said I threw away an easy lead there the first race and stuff, and I think everyone's making mistakes at some point in the race.
Yeah, I mean it's really tricky. I don't envy you. And sorry, just to finish in terms of that incident, I know Campto went off with you as well at the same time. Did that influence things, or can you talk us through a little bit about the opening lap and just generally about trying to start races in these cars?
Yeah, Campto, he got a great start, and I just don't think he had the confidence through turn 2. I got a bit of a run on him. He didn't fully cover the inside. I got my braking all right in the inside, and I think he tried to release the brakes to try and stay ahead of me on the outside, but just picked up a bit of understeer, so Campto understeered into the wall. And I was kind of too busy watching him. I dropped it to first gear and hobbled over the inside curb, which just spat the car around, so it was unfortunate, but I'm pretty sure, well, everyone avoided me, I'm fairly sure. So
Yeah, and you managed to recover a super job, second place. I'm sure you'll be hunting for first in the final race.
I don't know, we'll give it a crack, sure.
All right, well, Ronan, great to have you back on the grid. Even more importantly than your second place finish, delighted that you're joining us again. Great to see you back in the rig, and looking forward to having you for the rest of the season.
Cheers, fellas.
Brilliant. That was Ronan Doherty. And do we have a very quick time to scare off all of our new viewers by having a quick word with Sean McClements before we finish up?
Let's have a really, really quick one as we bring in Sean McClements. Sean, really quickly, as fast as you can, in your best Dunloy accent, how was the race?
Oh, it was lethal, sir. Messed up in the last corner and give Ronan second, but apart from that, all good. Like, good start. Bradley messed up, so that helped me, so I can't really complain. Hey.
And finally, the bridge bar or the fiddler's rest?
Oh, the fiddler's rest all day long. Hey.
Sean, good luck in heat 3. About as quick as you can get, I suppose.
That's the virtual equivalent of opening up the door and booting somebody out the side door of a commentator's box. It's just incredible. I'd say the boy was still talking as he was falling out of the box. Didn't even know what happened before I hit him. Lee Cogan starts us off, and he was very rarely does a driver stay in 8th place for very long, but Lee dominated that 8th position and gets the benefit of it now in this final round.
Yeah, Lee Cogan, Kevin Joyce on the front row, Alex King, Harvey Dara, our international representations in row 3 and 4, although Harvey is from the north, so that's another,
easy,
orange
careful
orange
now, Evan, careful now.
Yeah, here in London, St. Petersburg. Brandon McGaughan in 5th, then Sean McClements in 6th, then it's Ronan Doherty and Tony Griffin to round out the reverse grid. But it is 2 of our championship winning drivers on row 5 in 9th and 10th, Dylan McClements and Campto Chukwa. So, look, we don't really know what to expect here again. It's been chaos in Heat 1 and Heat 2. Let's go for Heat number 3, 20 minutes here in St. Petersburg as we go racing. And it's a great start off the front row for Lee Cogan. Kevin Joyce is bogged down and Harvey Dara immediately up to second position. On the outside there, you can see Ronan Doherty and Brandon McGaughan as they barrel into the first corner. And Cogan is away and clean here in through turn 1 and turn 2. Nice and slow through what can become a flat out left and down towards turn number 3. Crucial braking zone. Brandon McGaughan all over the tail of Harvey Dara. Has he broke too late? Yes, he has! Into the wall goes Brandon McGaughan in his Daddy Sullivan liveried indyNXT machine. And that, I think he's just about got away with.
Yeah, but Brandon seems to be the king of hitting the wall and getting away with it this evening. Did a Campto Chukwa on us almost. Tried to release the brakes too early, and then you could just see the left front locking up, and that meant he had absolutely no traction to turn himself, and went straight in. Lee Cogan, a slight little graze of the barrier, but nothing major. A few sparks coming up as Ronan Doherty's in 5th position, keeping pace at the moment. Biggest gainer at the moment is Jack Wynn. He's up 6 places. Sean McGoldrick down 1. Carl Corkin down 6 as well. Jack Wynn now in a battle there with Terje Hella. But yeah, a good, solid opening lap. It seems like these guys are starting to get the hang of this thing as we enjoy the last 20 minutes of racing this evening.
Yeah, it's such a long race that you're better off just staying calm for the opening lap. Just getting the lap in under your belt, get a bit of temperature in the tyres, and then from lap 2 onwards, go for it. Push to pass now enabled as well. So the drivers have the overtaking assistance available in this indyNXT machinery, as that is Cam Kablinson around the outside of Dara O'Connor. Lovely move.
Yeah, really good stuff from Kem, sporting the Guinness livery. A cheap attempt to win our favour. I think Kem's going to have to try a little bit harder than that. But, oh, well, okay, you're easier to please than I am, obviously. I suppose you have been talking about pubs the entire evening. Oh, that's Kevin Joyce cutting across the barrier. And unfortunately, Camto was the one who went into the back of him there, I think. But that's opened up the door now for Tony Griffin to come back into 8th position where he started the race. He's had a superb second race. Campto's blinking an awful lot here, which we don't really like to see. Eric Killeen and Kevin Joyce now with meatballs. Jack Wynn, I put the commentator's curse on him. He's gone way back down the grid again. Yeah, it is. It's just unfortunate. But Alex King up into 4th position now is Alex. He's going to be under pressure for Ronan Doherty. However, Ronan takes the inside line. Alex going to have it for the next corner, but Alex just doesn't have that confidence that Ronan alluded to earlier. And the man from Dunloy, it just doesn't sound as good. The of age driver from Dunloy makes that move. The legally responsible driver from Dunloy makes it. This is what happened to Jack Wynn.
Yeah, Jack Wynn in his Williams livery.
That's Eric Killeen and Pavlo Kishkan and Stephen and Clevie Brennan all involved. Oh, that's not what you want to see.
No, but kind of what we expected, unfortunately, as here comes Dylan McClements. That is past Tony Griffin in towards turn number 1. As Ganshi, he doesn't like blinking. I thought we loved it.
No, we're just very good at it. That doesn't mean that we necessarily like it. We're just well known for it. Brandon McGahan. Yeah, I know. We will. It seems to be, normally they say more action, don't blink, but our motto seems to be more of the action, blink as much as you possibly can. Right, Dermot Toomey in 9th position. He's up 3 positions at the moment, as is Dylan McClements. He's in 6th now at the moment and hovering around the front, as is Brandon McGahan, recovering from that early tap of the wall. He's up into 3rd. Alex King, unfortunately, got involved in that instant and is way back down, 15 places down, as is Kevin Joyce. So unfortunately for those guys, just couldn't do it.
Yeah, this is a disappointing evening for most. It's been a very positive evening for some so far, and it could be a fantastic evening for Lee Cogan if he can keep up what he's producing here. Last lap, 104.5 for Cogan, 104.1 for Brandon McGahan, so he is catching the number 26 in front. But catching is one thing and passing is certainly another, as you can see. A nice new fancy graphic along the bottom that shows Brandon McGahan and Harvey Dara. But Dara on the tail of McGahan once again. Last time he was in this situation, he spun on the exit of the final corner. So Dara, the karting ace, got to be careful.
Yeah, and I think so does Brandon, because I've noticed that Brandon is getting increasingly later and later on the brakes into turn 4. He ran very deep into the corner in turn 4 on the last one, and it's so easy to get that wrong. So Brandon just flirting a little bit with danger. He just has to be careful. He's ridden his fair share of luck this evening already, as Brandon, as Harvey's all over the back of that 89 machine, but just has to be careful he doesn't try and push it too much, because very quickly that barrier comes upon you and you can have a bit of a Charles Leclerc and Baku moment, and we certainly don't want Brandon McGahan calling himself stupid. Right, Harvey now being joined by Ronan Doherty for company, and this is, I mean, look, this is a great position for Harvey, I think, just as a racer, full stop, as a young racer, to be right in the middle of a battle with these two racing veterans, I think it's fair to say. And I know that not in terms of years, but in terms of experience, these two guys. So, that's Ronan Doherty. I think he clipped the barrier there just going into that last corner, and he's fallen off. I wonder, does he have rear wheel damage? I'll have to have a look at that again, but he definitely clipped the barrier. I saw a puff of smoke as Harvey's going to try and get in the mirrors of Brandon, but I think Brandon is a little bit cleverer than that. I say that he goes into the wall, but I was already committed to the sentence, so it was too late to pull out of it. But Brandon, he's having his fair amount of run-ins with that concrete barrier on the outside, Evan. He's managed to get away with it, though.
Yeah, although these cars are carbon chassis and bodywork, they seem to be fairly sturdy here, is the general consensus of the evening, as Brandon McGahan is now going to have to weave down towards the first corner. It's a very tricky corner to make an overtake. You sort of tee it up for turn 4, and the late braking there as someone coming out of the pits just lifts off and waits and lets the traffic through, and the indyNXTs fly down first straight in towards the first right-hander. After it, and Brandon McGahan is okay, survives on top here. Harvey Dara right on his tail though. This again is very similar to what we saw earlier. Brandon under a lot of pressure, but Harvey Dara just not able to get past. Shows the nose, Brandon clips the wall, and surely Harvey Dara gets on the button here, although he's very low on push to pass. Brandon 49 seconds available, Harvey Dara 24, so he's got to be careful. Fuel management obviously isn't an issue here, so you don't have to worry about saving your push to pass in the art of fuel saving. You've just got to worry about having enough of it towards the end of the race for you to work with, and Harvey Dara is struggling on that front.
Yeah, he is. He's way behind Brandon now with the push to pass, and it's all about where you use your push to pass. There's no point in he's using more of it now, Harvey, in terms of trying to get away, but he used quite a bit of it down the back straight the last couple of laps, but he hasn't been able to do enough. As you say, that's a difficult corner to overtake, and he's looking a little increasingly more desperate, particularly through this section as he starts to catch up with Brandon through the slower section. He's starting to stick his nose in a little bit more, and Brandon has to be careful of that, of course, in the 89 machine. But Brandon doing a great job of managing the gap between himself and Harvey Dara. Lee Cogan, lads, for an 8th position, he's absolutely nailing it so far. The number 26 car hasn't won a race as far as I know in my time commentating on him, but making the absolute most of the opportunity. We've seen Peter McCann do this a few times. I know it's hard to remember a time when Peter McCann was winning races, but we've seen Peter McCann do this a couple of times where he started on reverse grid pole and managed to hold on to it, and Lee Cogan's doing a superb job at the moment.
Doing an excellent job, and we know Monaghan like pulling a late result out of the bag. Can the Monaghan man do it here in St. Petersburg? But Harvey Dara right on the tail of Brandon McGahan. This is almost becoming Kevin Magnussen-esque from Brandon McGahan, where he's just trying to hold up the train behind for the driver in front. Although as far as I know, Brandon and Lee don't have any sort of teammate affiliation, but you never know who does favours for who in RTA Virtual Motorsport, as that's a little bit late in the... No, perfect on the brakes from both of them. Ignore me, as Harvey Dara using a lot of curb on that inside line. We're just on board here with the number 24, in for the two right-handers before one of the fastest corners on the circuit. Absolutely, totally flat out left before the tricky braking zone of the left-hander. This is the Bayshore Drive. Down towards the left-hander, which curb you do not want to touch, on the Dan Weldon Way, named after, of course, the Indy 500 winner.
Yeah, absolutely. There's an object there on the right-hand side, which I believe is some sort of a sculpture, but every time it passes my eye, I just think it looks like the Nace ball. That's just a
Go on, Nace.
Observation for me. Jan Zoutvella says this car looks fun as hell. It absolutely is, Jan. We're gutted to be missing you on the grid this year. You've already provided so much to this series, so we'd love to see you back. Chris McCann says, none of that Peter slander, Kevin. Come into the commentary box and fight me. And Sam says, go on, Nace. I can see that the good people of Nace don't often get much positive.
Speaking of Nace, and although the Nace ball is cool...
You couldn't help yourself. Speaking of Nace, just
speaking of Nace, and although Nace ball is cool. It's not the best tourist attraction in Nace, and that, of course, is Heatherman's Car Park, located near the main town. Not and Heatherman's Bridge.
It was also free to visit.
Fr-
Yeah.
Free, free to yeah, free to visit, especially at 2 a.m. on a Thursday.
Ronan, Ronan said in our drug story, but the first thing I heard was drug story, and I was like, what were you guys up to? Right, Johnny Hollywood says, Kevin with the commentator's version of "I'll start it, so I'll finish," mastermind style. Yeah, absolutely. You got to commit to it. Lee Cogan, perhaps starting to come down between himself and Brandon McGahan. Like, we still have 9 minutes left in this race as Tony Griffin sends one down the inside. Speaking of DHL, that was a parcel sent and delivered, and that's good, Dylan. Dylan spun it round. Unfortunately, Dylan's more UPS and ends up on the wall.
Or Peter McCann.
Perhaps with the delivery, perhaps not. Yeah, unfortunately for Dylan, and I think he just got a little bit too greedy there, perhaps. But yeah, 1.7 is the gap. Lee can just manage to keep it out, but I do think Brandon's starting to make it up. You can see there the timings, like it's gone from 5 tenths, 4 tenths to now Brandon with 3 tenths, 2 tenths, 5 tenths. So Brandon not fighting as much. Harvey's on his tail, but not putting quite as much pressure on him. And I wonder, are the two starting to work together a little bit more? Johnny Hollywood says, can we call the Nace Monument the head the ball? I mean, it's a good description of our race broadcaster.
Fun fact about Nace Ball, not officially called Nace Ball. Its official name is Perpetual Motion.
Yeah, it's just not as good though, is it?
It doesn't have as good a ring.
Nace Ball is just like you know what I mean? Ask somebody where did they? Oh, Harvey Dara does her own Doherty and has to swing the car around to come back the other direction. Unfortunately for the 24. If you ask me, if you said to somebody, where, like, can you tell me what perpetual motion is in Ireland? They'd be like, haven't a clue, or they probably make some joke about our government. But
or an educated man would go, that's Nace Ball.
Yeah, but exactly, an educated man would then say, it's the Nace Ball. They wouldn't say, yes, perpetual motion. They would say, yes, that's the Nace Ball. That is the correct title for this piece of artwork.
Perpetual motion is the official. Why are we? I feel so sorry for like the one American lad from Texas who's just tuned into this random iRacing stream he's found, and it's just two lads talking about Nace Ball.
P.O. Nace Ball at.
Shout out to Nace Ball, man.
Shout out to Nace Ball. Not as good as the Crumlin Shopping Centre, but a very close second.
Rest in peace. Gone.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, the Crumlin Shopping Centre. And a big shout out to Walker's Town roundabout. Still there, not dead yet.
It's no Dunkettle interchange. I can tell you, €250 million spent on a
How do
junction
people
to
not
actively make it
slap
worse.
into that every morning? It's like
People
Monaco.
do. People
It's
do. It's €250 million to make a junction exceptionally worse than it was to begin with. Traffic has never been worse. Right.
Sorry, there's a cracker coming in from Johnny. He goes, "What did Cinderella say when she got to the Nace Ball?"
Whoa, probably. Probably overdue her trip to the bridge at that point. Right.
Funny story. That's how Ronan Etterman got engaged. Just someone ran to his bridge at me.
Oh no, Brandon McGahan. Oh no, he's not. Certainly not. That's the end of Brandon McGahan's perpetual motion. He's gone right into the concrete barrier there, and that's a scene straight out of the Dunkettle interchange. If you ever want to see what that's like, you could just have a look at Brandon McGahan's crunch. That is metal crunching with concrete. Which is how most Monday mornings end for commuters in Cork. That's a very unfortunate one for Brandon. Is that on turn 4 though? I'm sorry, Brandon, just not to wallow in your difficult moment, but I do want to know if my earlier comment was proven correct.
Yeah, that's really, really unlucky. That's not what a race car should look like. Yeah, really unlucky for Brandon. He's driven well tonight, but just those couple of little errors have cost him, and now one costing him in a big way. He's glanced the wall a few times, and now it is the big one, unfortunately. But Lee Cogan still leading. Ronan Doherty is catching him, though, and Ronan Doherty may be the evil villain in this Cinderella story.
It's a nice homage from Brandon to be in constant flare profile entering the airport. I have to say, it is good from Brandon. That's a nice little hat tip. Where was that accident though? I want to know where he had the tip, because I feel like he was getting deep into turn 4 a couple of times, and I'm just gagging to have a look at that lovely little replay sting we have as well, based on all of our graphics this evening, based on the real life indyNXT color scheme. So we do actually do a tiny bit of work here in Gantry between the races to try and make things look, freshen things up as we go along. So yeah, Lee Cogan 0.4 of a second now ahead of Ronan Doherty. Ronan's going to close the gap. He made an absolute fool of Dylan McClements in the last race, albeit big spoiler on that, or not a big spoiler, big what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word I'm looking for, but I can't think of it. But yeah, big point on that is that Dylan McClements is very sick this evening, so obviously not at 100%. This is Ronan, and this is now that was turn 4, and clips the barrier. That's fine, and then he keeps coming around, and he hits the barrier on the outside. Oh, that was a heavy slap. Oh my god, that was a bone-juddering impact. Did Brandon hit the wall on the outside and then just lost all? Let's rewind that back. A little too far, but let's have a look. On board with the number 89 car going past the Firestone Bridge. He comes up to the outside, flips the front left, and then spins straight into the barrier. And that is turn number 8, I do believe. That I got it wrong. So I was wrong, not turn 4, but turn 8. Brandon McGahan, unfortunately, just.
Oh, Ronan Doherty leads.
And Ronan Doherty passes Lee Cogan in amongst that. We did a full F1 director thing there where we were so busy looking at the
proper
replay.
IndyCar. Missing the battle for the lead.
Yeah, missed the actual battle for the lead by watching the replay. Here's another replay to go back on the thing that we should have caught when we were looking at another replay. Here's Ronan coming through down past what looks like the Nace ball, but not the Nace ball. Sorry, I'll focus. Lee takes the inside line.
Oh no!
And I think Lee just a little bit overzealous on the defense and ends up just taking. You said possibly the worst line ever you'd seen from Tony Griffin earlier. That has to be up there, unfortunately, when it comes to defending. As Colin Corkin's come across, he's unfortunately collided with Ken Doyle. Both of those in the pit lane, joining Eric Killeen, Brandon McGahan, Peter McCann, Adam Dowling, Queeveen Brennan. Now Stevens was in there for a while, but he's out. But yeah, unfortunately,
it's the worst line I've seen through that corner. The worst line you've seen so far.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the worst Nace ball I've ever seen. The worst Nace ball you've seen so far. Sorry, Conor Amelia trying to go for a move around the outside, or at least set up a switchback on Diarmuid Toomey. I don't think it's going to be quite successful, Conor, but Conor, he's lacked a bit of pace. We know he's a huge IndyCar fan, so no doubt he will enjoy this series full stop and enjoy coming to these tracks, but didn't quite nail the IndyCar series like he hoped he would last time, and just like he's consistent, not making any huge mistakes or anything, is Conor, in fairness to him, but just not quite on the pace this evening.
Yeah, unfortunately didn't have the greatest official Indy 500 either. Was running at the front and then was absolutely killed in what is one of the worst crashes I've seen, in terms of there was a driver without a rear wing who decided to move up across a corner and took poor Conor out of it, which was very disappointing for him. But he'll be looking for some success here in indyNXT. Of course, is out back in his Formula V this weekend, I should say, in Bishop's Court. So Conor, looking forward to that one. He'd like to get past Diarmuid Toomey here, who had his own real world racing endeavours. Recently was in Watergrass Hill for the doubleheader at the Motorsport Ireland Karting Championships.
Yeah, certainly a lot closer to me than Bishop's Court is. I was looking this weekend to say, oh, maybe I could come up to Bishop's Court and join the lads and have a look. And then I had a look at where it was, and I was like, nope, I am not doing that for the day. I would have to leave at about 2 a.m. to make it up in time for the race start. For that one, Dear Matumi in 7th position. We do ask for your driver of the day comments, but I think everyone pretty much knows who's sewn it up, given his final race result. Diarmid is coming around here. I think Ronan Doherty is going to be pretty close to crossing the line here, as he comes around the final corner. Takes a much better line, does Ronan Doherty, and eventually gets that race win, which I think he really did deserve, followed by Lee Cogan, followed by Sean McClements, who's the two DDR boys repping the name there in the final race. But great to see Ronan back on the top step of the podium. He finished in second. He had to come all the way from 7th position, so a superb drive from him.
Yeah, absolutely excellent drive. Some brilliant drives throughout the field as well. That is, like, I think the first time ever that Sean McClements hasn't featured on the stream as he took a podium. As Alex King, top 10 as well. Brilliant debut from Alex King, I have to say. Okay, Heat 3 mightn't have gone the way he wanted to, but that's 3 finishes in the top 10, which is not easy to do in RTA. So congratulations for Alex for that. He comes home in 10th place, and I think we had all outside the top 10 actually lapped in that one.
Yeah, well, just to show you the amount of carnage we've had this evening. I mean, yeah, talking about bad rejoins, our Nuremberg Ring, I crashed into somebody who parked right in the middle of the track at Galbenkopf, which, of any of you who know, is the blind right-hander that leads onto the main straight. Possibly the worst corner you could possibly be parking a car across the middle of in the Orange Schleife. But anyway, I digress. Ronan Doherty, our race winner, followed by Lee Cogan. Superb drive from him. It's going to be between him and Tony Griffin for driver of the day. We will see what your votes are, but Tony, we might have to call it the Tony Griffin Perpetual Motion Trophy.
This reminds me of, remember in 2016 when Verstappen just kept getting driver of the day?
Driver of the day, yeah.
That's this.
When Nikita Mazepin was voted driver of the day like 3 rounds in a row.
It's
Right, Sean
hilarious.
McClements in 3rd, followed by Harvey Dara. He'll be disappointed in finishing 4th. Tony Griffin, speaking of the aforementioned Kerryman, I think I right saying that. Yep, Kerryman, who's driver of the day and has absolutely been flying of recent days. Our race 2 winner, Cam Tochuk, went 6th place, followed by Diarmid Toomey, Conor Melia, then Kem Colbinson, Alex King in 10th. We mentioned him about a great debut, followed by Ronan Keane, Jack Wynn, Carl Corkin, Dylan McClements, Dara O'Connor, Techahele, Kevin Joyce, Sean McGoldrick, Ken Joyle, and Brandon McGahan after that. Big incident, finishing in 20th. Niall Stevens, he was the car who exited the pit there, by the way, and held before exiting the pit in front of traffic. So, small little hat tip to Niall for that. Good etiquette, followed by Queeveen Brennan, Eric Killeen, Peter McCann. No surprises there, given the evening he's had this evening. Hopefully, Peter will be right back at it in Mexico next week. He's a good relationship with Mexico, Peter, apart from all that wall building. Adam Dowling in 25th, followed by Pablo Kishkan in 26th. And then just finishing just ahead of a man who didn't even take the grid because he was setting up the server, Jordan Kelly, which will give you an indication of some of their races. We're hearing loads of scouts for both Tony and Lee. This is going to be a really tricky one for driver of the day. But while we mull over that, let's have a chat with our race winner, Rona Doherty, who joins Evan Dalton.
Oh yeah, it's a
Ronan.
good start for you. Like, sorry.
Sorry for interrupting your conversation, Ronan. Congratulations. It's not taken you long to get back to success here in RTA.
Yeah, looking back with hindsight tonight, I was the mistake in the first race really bugs me because I think maybe could have got 3 wins, like but it is what it is, and listen, it's nice to start off with not a complete and utter disaster on a straight course, like.
Was it just an evening of learning as you went? Did you get up to grips with the car fairly quickly, or are you still sort of uncertain of how it handles?
I'm definitely not certain. I was messing about a lot with my stuff like my roll bars and changing my brake bias as the stint went on with the tires and stuff, and that's all just stuff I haven't learned yet. But maybe I have a slight edge with all the years behind me of having that experience at the same time. So, no, I'm definitely not comfortable with the car yet. And usually, to be fair, when we pick up a new car, I come out the blocks fast, and then I end up not the fastest. So hopefully, I can keep on developing on it.
Is experience something that matters a lot in a car like this? Because you've spoken on these streams before about, say, Mazdas or Vs, where you've said, oh, well, everyone drives these, so we're all used to them. That's why it's close. Does experience matter for a car like this, and why there's such a, I suppose, difference in the pace of the field?
Um, well, this particular car would be quite high power, especially when the turbo spills up, and there's actually quite a lack of rear grip everywhere, really. So those are factors that would tend to contribute towards more experienced drivers managing those things and being able to adapt your driving style around them. Whereas the V in iRacing, which I say it's probably easier to drive than it is even in real life, or on the Mazda, they're low power, you kind of have more grip than you do power. But when you flip that dynamic around, experience I think definitely counts for something.
Well, Ronan, thank you very much for joining us. As much as we always have a laugh and a joke on Gantry, I think it's always really interesting to listen to you talk about race cars because there's always a brilliant bit of insight that I think our viewers enjoy. So thank you very much for that and congratulations on the win.
Thanks very much, lads, and keep her company.
Oh, you knew it was coming. Let's hear it from second place, Lee Cogan with Kevin.
Lee, first of all, a huge congratulations. We often talk about the reverse grid pole giving drivers who may not be like quite on the pace of the top guys, but certainly are carrying pace to get a chance to shine. And so often we see those reverse grid drivers kind of lose the bottle a little bit, do a bit of an arsenal, and end up in the barrier. But in fairness to you, you really took the opportunity with both hands.
Yeah, I don't think I was far off the old bottle there a few times, but yeah, it's a very stressful experience. This track is so tight, it's so bumpy, and these cars, any little over throttle at all, it just spins you around as there's been plenty of stuff happening behind me, but yeah, I mean, I had a good start, thankfully. I think the guys battling as well. I think it was Harvey and um Brandon, was it? I think that did help me quite a bit as well. But yeah, just try to keep it clean throughout the race. But yeah, there was one or two mistakes. But at the end of the day, um, I was pretty much out of my push to pass. So I think Ronan probably had the extra bit of boost to take it to the last lap as well. Anyway.
Yeah, because we saw the gap. Like we had kind of had the gaps on us, and at one point we could see we're kind of 4 or 5 tenths gaining a lap, and then quickly that shifted to 4 or 5 tenths. Once Harvey, I suppose, kind of that battle between Harvey and Brandon kind of finished, and then Ronan was able to just go straight through because Harvey made a mistake. Like, did you get a sense that he was gaining on you? And I could see obviously that defensive move, probably a little bit overzealous, maybe in hindsight. Probably literally pretty much the only slightly false move in the whole race.
I had a little glimpse in the mirror, and that that kind of just caused that little mistake. But yeah, look, so Ronan, he had it on pole. Like he's incredibly quick around here. So as soon as I saw him behind me in the mirrors, I kind of knew it was only a matter of time that he was going to come back to me. But yeah, look, even with the little mistake, I still think Ronan probably would have got me anyway. But still, yeah, very happy with the results. Good start to the season.
Yeah, so you should be. Lee Cogan, Aries Autosport, the number 26. Not only are you our second place driver, but after much consideration and plenty of votes, both for yourself and Tony Griffin, we've decided to give our Gantry TV driver of the day to you. So Lee Cogan is our Gantry TV driver of the day. Massive congratulations.
Thank you very much, lads. Great.
Very well deserved to Lee, who really, as I said, made the most of that opportunity starting on reverse grid pole. And Lee, look, hopefully we'll be speaking to you again before the end of the season.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Brilliant. So that was Lee Cogan, our second place finisher and Gantry TV driver of the day. And just about time to have a quick word with the fillet of fish himself. Yum is name, yum by nature, Sean McClemens.
Well, Sean, congratulations on the podium. We've had some fantastic liveries here tonight. It's been one of the best seasons for paint schemes yet. Would you like to explain yours?
Just went on 5 minutes before practice and thought found the funniest one I can find. Like so, can't beat an old fish fillet. I don't like them myself, like, but here it works. Like,
Third in Heat 3 for you, and dare I say, in any discipline, any car, might have been the calmest race of your racing career.
aye, well, it was calm enough, all right. To be fair, like there was that wee incident there, second or third lap, like, but
You didn't feel like causing anything just for the sake of your own entertainment, no?
no, well, I didn't spin. Like, if I spun, maybe a different story. No, I would never do that. No, Evan, come on, like, you know me well. No, I can't.
I'll
It was
never get
calm
into
enough for the
trouble, you.
race, like. No, I'll never hear. I'm God's child, like, But calm enough for the race. I think a couple more laps, and maybe would have had Lee. Like, I was fairly catching him the last 2 laps. I think it was a third or fourth last lap. Bike marker held me up a wee bit, like, so I lost that bit of a drive. But a couple more laps, I might have been on him, but it would have been a good battle. But here, we're happy enough. Like,
Lads, to be honest, I didn't even get half of that, so best of luck to everyone watching along at home. Any insight to when you're planning on speaking correctly?
no, not really. The ball money, and never even never even tried it.
Good to hear from Sean McClements as always, as that is our podium interview.
Yeah, it's from the sublime to the ridiculous, really, isn't it? You go from Ronan
I think I
Doherty
might start
actually
doing that as a
explaining
bit,
race
just
cars,
getting
and
rid
then
of him before we can have
yeah,
our stream taken off.
just bring him in, and whether he even finishes on a podium, it's just to kick him out, just purely for the enjoyment of kicking him out. Right, thank you so much to everyone for joining us. We are off to Mexico next week for the IndyCar NXT series. That is the wrong flag. Why did I put the American flag there? I am not Donald
Whoa!
Trump. Please,
Kevin
please
the
don't.
Donald Galvin.
Please don't. I just duplicated a load of American flags, not even thinking about what I was doing. I will have that
It's
fixed for
not the
next week.
Autodromo
My
Jimenez, it's the
apologies.
Autodromo Harold, folks. It's the Harold. The Harold
It's
Ryan.
huge. The best hermanos I've ever had. I will
We're going
fix
to take
that.
it over, folks.
And I will also, I will also, we're going to build a big wall around it. I will also fix the this accent on the Ian Rodriguez, because that annoys me too. Right, that
we
is
don't need
though
those funny
on the
characters. We just keep it basic.
Right, 19th of May, and then we're off to Miami. Speaking of places that have essentially been colonized, Miami, the International Autodrome, and then Phoenix, Watkins Glen, Laguna Seca, Virginia, which we've never been before. I don't think I've ever been to Virginia before. And Sebring then to finish off with, which is where we finished with the RTA Formula V Scholarship Series as well. So a nice trip back to Sebring for our final round. Right, thanks to all of you for joining us in the comments. Johnny says Kevin's ice application just got accepted.
Well, IndyCar loves ice, so we're just going for the full.
Exactly.
IndyCar
Full experience. Yeah. Well, just don't worry. We'll have ads for erectile dysfunction medicine and trucks next week. Head to rtavirtualmotorsport.com. Where you can find all of the actual information that you need and under this guff for myself and Evan. And also you can head to Bois Motorsport, which is Evan's guff. But guff that seems to be exceptionally popular. Had a video that went out recently that had over 1 million views on the platform. And one of his
3
many
million,
very successful 3 million. Sorry, well, it is over 1 million technically. It was over 1 million when I looked at it, but exactly. Yeah, I mean the boy can do the Instagram reels, but unfortunately can't count. Right. And then also simconsultants.com. Hey, we can finally put the Sim Consultants back on our screen. Self-plug, well, plug for Ronan, but a plug nonetheless for ourselves. You can head to that for all of your gear. And of course, ladies and gents, heading into a very busy summer season where you might want to get on the sim and emulate some of the very many racing series that are happening around the world. So thank you very much to all of you. It is Lawrence. It doesn't. It's unusual to see Lawrence with his mouth closed. Actually, normally he's a big
It's
smile.
unusual to see Lawrence from that angle. It's usually the other angle.
Look.
Oh,
I
God.
want to get out of context, Evan Dalton. Right.
Oh, God.
And plenty of favors around RTA if you ever need them. Right. Thank you so much for joining us and putting up with all of our rubbish. Congratulations to our race winners, to Ronan Doherty, to Tony Griffin, and to Brandon McGahan, who won our opening race. And no, Harvey Dara, sorry, Harvey Dara, who won our opening race. And
It's with the
congratulations
bad
as well to Luke
stream.
Hogan, our second. I should get ChatGPT to do this as well. Our chap, our driver of the day as well. Right. Until then, have a great week. We're all off to the Nace Ball. Slán go full.